Hello and welcome everybody to the third episode of the Casual Nerd Podcast. I'm Shaq. Today we have Ken and Lee with us. And that's it. It's just going to be us three, the three amigos. And today we got a few things to talk about. I just started playing Final Fantasy XIV, so we're going to be talking about that. The iOS 7, iPhone app came out. So we don't really know anything about that, but we're going to talk about it anyways. GTA 5. That's going to be the big topic tonight. A little bit of WoW talk, some Diablo talk, the Battlefield 4 beta talk. So let's go ahead and get right into it. What have you been playing, Ken?
Well, the big one this week, obviously, GTA 5. I know we're going to dive into that full time a little bit later. But also, now's a good time to talk about it. I know Shaq and I have been closely following this final season of Breaking Bad, and this last week's episode that we just watched was probably the best episode I've seen on TV, and at least since last year's Game of Thrones season. So, if you guys out there haven't caught up, or if you're trying to catch up, now's a great time to do it. There's 2 episodes left, and let me just say that it's worth the time to put in to catch up on the show, because it's freaking amazing.
Very nice. Yeah, I finally just bit the bullet. I went on my PlayStation and just downloaded it. I actually caught up on Netflix. I have never watched a Breaking Bad episode before. 2 weeks ago, that's all Ken would talk about, and I was like, well, shit, I should just go ahead and give it a shot. And season 1, I was kind of like, all right, it's another one of these drug, shows, maybe not as good as some of these other ones. And, when season 2 started, it just did nothing but snowball into just something way bigger than I would expect. And we're at a point now where I gotta get my Breaking Bad fix. Like, 2 more episodes. I literally just got caught up yesterday. So when Sunday comes around, I will be on that TV watching the next episode. But, yeah, Breaking Bad. If you haven't watched it, give it a shot. I promise you won't regret it. It's just getting past season 1. Once you do that, you're in the clear. But so Lee, what have you been doing, my friend?
Good old Final Fantasy XIV. That's
Yeah,
really about it.
Yeah. So, how's that treating you?
It's an amazing game, real smooth. I finally found another addiction I could have instead of League.
Very nice.
So
well, we're gonna talk about some of that addiction later this evening. So what I've been playing is obviously GTA 5 and playing Final Fantasy 14 as well. So we're going to get into those because I know Ken's been into the GTA 5 and that's going to be one of the main topics tonight. Anything else, Lee?
No, that's about it.
You playing any Magic lately?
No, I'm just waiting for the new release. That's
kind of taking a break until it.
Yep.
Very cool. You excited for that?
Yeah, I can't wait. I got a hopefully good pre-order set, and then I'm hoping they sell me a box before the release, because I know you said you got one pre-ordered.
Yeah.
So hopefully they're not very PC about their selling procedures. Let me get one. So we'll see.
Yeah, right. The thing about some of these card shops, they're just there to make money, and you can get lucky every now and then to find not a shady one, but one that just doesn't really care. Kind of like Amazon did with Grand Theft Auto 5. They're just, we'll give it to you a day early. Why not? But, anyways, so we're talking about Breaking Bad. And if you watch Breaking Bad, you've obviously watched some Walking Dead. I mean, you have to. It's pretty much the only reason why you go to AMC is Breaking Bad and Walking Dead at this point. And, so this week, early in the week, AMC came out and said they're going to do a spin-off show of The Walking Dead. What that implies is, what I'm thinking is going to be another group of people that's going to be following. It's going to be a completely different group from what Rick's got going on. And will there be a crossover of these 2 groups meeting? I have no clue. But so what do you think about it? I know, Ken, you're a huge Walking Dead person, so are you excited for this, or are you just kind of like, eh?
Yeah, I mean, and Shaq's being modest, because the other day, probably about 2 weeks ago, we had a conversation about Walking Dead, and we were talking about the idea of them doing, a second program, I guess, basically, where, they have another group and they just explore this world, because it's obviously massive, and just following one group almost doesn't feel like enough. So, oddly enough, 2 weeks later, there it is. So, I'm super excited to find out, more about it, who all is going to be involved. I've already kind of like bounced around in my head ideas of like different actors that might, get involved with it and things like that. So, just want to hear more. I guess it's like 2015, they said, before it'll be coming out. So I'm assuming more details will be forthcoming as time goes by.
Right. I got like a few things on this topic. Like, would you rather it take place in the same area, like say Georgia, or would you like want to take it in a completely different area, like maybe a snowy region? Like, shoot, I mean, Walking Dead in Alaska. I mean, it wouldn't be that many zombies, I'd imagine, but or even in like the West Coast. Do you think that would be cool, or do you think they should just stay in this Georgia kind of? There's fields. There's not really that many towns.
Yeah, no, I would actually honestly love it if they went way off, like maybe Africa or Europe or, Australia. Just something completely different than where they're at now. For one thing, we really don't know outside of the U.S. Obviously the U.S. is devastated, but we really don't know if that's reached further. So just showing another perspective would be kind of cool. I know the guy at the CDC kind of alluded to the problem was just all over the place. So, it would be kind of cool just to see another country. Maybe, obviously it had to be someplace that was English speaking, so maybe Britain, something like that.
Right. So maybe they kind of took like a whole different, maybe another point of view of like a town. I wasn't going to say not like a prequel or anything, but a town that hasn't been affected yet, and they're getting all this news of like zombie apocalypse going on. Like, could you just imagine being a person in that town, and like your town is perfectly fine, but you're getting all these news stories of just this stuff that's going on, and I think that would be kind of cool just to see how a town prepares for this situation. Right. But then again, they've got so many of those things going on right now. You've got like TV shows like Revolution and stuff like that. It's getting to the point where I guess it's got to take the same formula because it's working, obviously.
Right.
But
yeah, and you could also do something where, you could go larger scale and do like a whole town and how they're working together, or you could even go a smaller scale than what the current Walking Dead series is and maybe just follow one family or something through it or something like that. That would be pretty intense as well. Now, I guess you wouldn't have some of the bigger scale battles and stuff, but I don't know. It might be interesting just to see something with, a husband and a wife and a couple kids and, I don't know, the faithful golden retriever, or something, and how they survive. So,
yeah, definitely. It'd be a pretty interesting spin-off. There's so many comics out there now. I'm sure they could find out what they want to do with it. And like I said, the characters haven't even been announced yet. They don't even announce anything. We don't even know what it's going to be called. It could be called something completely different. So we will see about that. That's going to be something to look forward to in 2015. I'm sure next year's Comic-Con, it'll be everywhere. Like, they'll go crazy about it. All right, so let's go ahead and get some Final Fantasy XIV talk in. So, Lee, you've gotten further. I've played for about probably 2 hours, not that very much, with GTA kind of getting in the way. But, so how are you liking it?
Oh, dude, it's such an amazing game. How smooth it is, you're just immersed in the whole kind of Final Fantasy world. It kind of reminds me of, I'm not sure if y'all remember the PlayStation game, which is made by Square. So, it was Squaresoft at the time, Square Enix now. Was Legend of Mana. It was the sequel or prequel to Secret of Mana. But it has that kind of drawn in type of feel, not like cartoony type of WoW or League of Legends feel, but it's more like, I guess, looks like a sketchbook, and it's so immersed. There's so many. The towns are huge. It's like me and Shaq were trying to find each other, and it was like just impossible because like the towns are so big, so elaborate. And what's cool too is since he's playing on PlayStation, I'm only a PC person, so. But we're able to cross servers, so now PC and PlayStation 3 can actually play together, so which is really, really cool, and I enjoy it. There's not really much complaints about it, besides a couple issues of like the map details, it being kind of confusing that way, but just how it is. I mean, you could really just roll one character and have that one character be every class if you wanted, and I think that's a really good aspect. Instead of leveling 10,000 ults to, do one thing, you can just have one character be everything. So if you need a tank, you got a tank. If you need a healer, you got a healer. So it's really, really cool.
Right, and he mentioned I am playing on the PlayStation 3, so I want to go ahead and just go ahead and talk about that a little bit. The control wise, I think it works great with the controller. I've actually seen a lot of people who say they play on the PC. They actually prefer using like a 360 controller, which is really interesting to me. So when it comes to the controller aspect, if you're like, I don't want to get it for my PlayStation 3 because I don't know if I'll be able to if I'll like the controller, it's actually not that bad. I enjoy it a lot. It makes the game pretty much feel, if you ever play Final Fantasy 12, I mean, it feels just like that. It's like you're just playing a Final Fantasy game with your controller. There's a lot of abilities. You have to map your abilities to like your directional pad and your, the X, square, triangle, circle. And you also have like different sets, like different maps for the triggers. But it feels natural. It feels really cool to play. I haven't done any of the dungeons or anything. I think I'm still like level 7. So, I mean, I've got a while to go. But I just, dabbled into a little bit, made my account, and so far it's a really good game. The graphics are really good. I was actually surprised with the PlayStation 3. I was seeing, I was kind of scared. I was like, obviously computer's going to be better. But PlayStation 3, it owns up. I mean, it doesn't look that bad. And the good news is if you have it for the PlayStation 3, Sony came out, I think it was at the Tokyo show that's going on right now. You will be able to upgrade your PlayStation 3 version to your PlayStation 4 version, which I wouldn't see why I think the graphics would be pretty much on par with any computer at that point. Because I don't see the computer graphics being any better than the PlayStation 4 version. So that's always a plus. I mean, if you're on the fence about that, I would get it. It's definitely worth it to go ahead and buy it for your PlayStation 3. It's $40, and then you get it for free for your PlayStation 4, which I think, if you go to like Amazon right now, PlayStation 4 version is $60. So it's pretty, to me, it's a no-brainer. Buy it for your PlayStation 3, transfer it over. The only one thing is you won't be able to do is you will not be able to play it for your PlayStation 3 again unless you re-buy it for your PlayStation 3. So that's the only downside, but I mean, why would you want to play it on your PlayStation 3 ever again when it's always going to look better? It's going to render faster. There won't be any frame drops on your PlayStation 4. So, that's just my little rant of my console thing. I know, obviously the computer's better, but, I don't see it being that big of a deal when the next gen drops, to be completely honest. But, back to the game, Lee. So, I mean, what have you done? Like, you've gotten to like a level like 20-ish. So I mean, how's the game?
It's actually pretty neat. I mean, like all the quests that you need to do, or like, first like 4 levels, you're actually in the town, which is kind of cool. And then, you kind of just go around to each section of the town. I did one dungeon. Well, it wasn't really a dungeon. It was more like I guess an event, but it queued me up. So it has the kind of like raid finder or a dungeon finder, but it was just one little boss, so it puts you in steps onto, kind of building up to, the main dungeons and of course the 24-man raids and all that good stuff. So, yeah, like I said, it's just, the game is beautiful, like all the towns are cool. It has some, cinematics that have speaking, so you don't have to read all the time, but most of it is just, text style quests or text style events. It has a fate system, which is kind of like, if anybody's played Rift, it has like an event system, or even like Guild Wars 2. Same kind of concept of that. So, you'll be sitting there, and then all of a sudden an event happens, and all these monsters pop up, and then you wonder where all these people came from, because all of a sudden you look, there's like 20 people like around, you're like, oh, I guess they just came out of nowhere. But the mounts are beautiful. It's just overall, to me, one of the best games. I'm not really anti-GTA, but I don't really mainstream about it, but it's definitely kept up with my expectations of Final Fantasy. That's actually good. I think this is one of the better ones that came out since 7, so.
Right. And, 7. Speaking of 7, I mean, I know it's got a lot of the soundtracks from pretty much every Final Fantasy game they have, which I love. I mean, it's pretty much every Final Fantasy. It's got a lot of nostalgia from all of the games. I think when I made my character, like, I made my guy's voice sound like Arn from Final Fantasy X, which is one of my favorites. And like whenever I saw that, I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. You know, when you level up, it's got the level up from some of the previous Final Fantasies. Whenever you complete one of the fates, it does that as well. It's obviously not a perfect MMO. There's some things I look at and I go, it's kind of like a waste of time. Like whenever you accept a quest, it does this whole dramatic thing of, you know, like, hey, quest accepted. It gets kind of repetitive.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's one of those things. It is not a big deal, but it feels like kind of like shouldn't be there over and over again. I'm so used to an MMO where you get your quest and you go on with it. But then again, it's not really that big of a deal. If you sit there and see, like, it just takes up your whole screen and it kind of pauses your game for a split second and it gets kind of frustrating. But everything else, it's really good. I mean, like I said, I haven't played that much. The inventory system I haven't had to deal with, so I don't know how that feels. I've equipped like 2 pieces of gear, and you just click the gear you want and you equip it, so it's pretty easy. I haven't had a mount, so I don't know how that feels yet. But all the quests I did most of the quests in the main city. That was a big thing to me. The city is just, like Lee said, it's just huge. It's like 3 or 4 stories, and I'm just going around looking for the quest to turn in, and it can be, if it's your first MMO, it can be kind of like...
frustrating.
Yeah, it can be frustrating. Definitely, for sure. It could just make you just not want to play. You're just like, well, this is stupid, I don't know where to go. But if you played an MMO, you won't have any problems. Like, you'll get into it, you'll see what's going on, and you'll just be like, alright, so this guy's obviously got a quest. I'm gonna go talk to him. And you'll see, like, over to the right, that guy obviously wants me to turn the quest into him. It's just your typical MMO when it comes to the questing. But where it differs is the combat system. I mean, it feels a lot more fluid than any other MMO I've played. Maybe Guild Wars is probably on par with it.
Yeah.
But to me, it feels like Final Fantasy XII, which is a great thing because I love Final Fantasy XII. But it's got a lot of good elements too. I mean, the enemies are from the previous Final Fantasies. I think I've done like 2 fates, and one of them was to kill these bombs. I mean, if you've played a Final Fantasy game, you know what a bomb is. So, I'm liking it. I think once I'm done with GTA 5, I'll be about it a lot more. I'll be into it. I'll probably be playing it almost every day just to get caught up with Lee. But yeah, like you were saying, you get all these classes. You only need 1 character, which is amazing. Because to me, I've been in players a while. Me, Lee, and even Ken knows. If you want to play another class, you got to level it up. And we're at the point now in WoW. It wasn't that bad when you were getting to 70. It wasn't that bad when you were getting to 80. But we're at the point now where you have to get to level 90, and it literally takes you like 3 days to be a casual player in WoW. You can't get to a max character within a week. Like, it'll take you probably a month to get to 90, and then when you get to 90, it's like, if there's one thing you don't like about that character, well, you got to start over and pick another one. So it's really aggravating, really frustrating. Yes, you have to level up each character individually in Final Fantasy, but there's something about having it all on 1 character. Like, having it all on 1 character just makes it to where you're not wasting your time. It's like you're still continuing the story. You know, but with WoW, it's like, if you level that guy all the way up, you might never play him again. He might be your bank character.
Yeah.
You know?
Or I always hated when, you know me, I had like 1080s or 85s when I quit. And, it was so ridiculous because, like, you'd forget which person had the right profession. You're like, oh, I think this guy has tailoring and enchanting. Let me go over there. Nope, it's leatherworking, so. That's
the cool thing. I never have to. I never have to log out of this game. I feel like when I play it for real for the first time, I never have to log out. Everything will be on 1 guy. I think the thing that might be the best part about it is they are going to bring in like server transfers eventually. If I ever say my friends stop playing on this server and my friends picked up on another server, I can bring everything with me. There isn't going to be any of this. Oh, you leave behind 90% of your characters. You're literally taking 1 guy who has everything and you bring him to another server. and that's amazing to me. So I haven't dwelled into any PvP. I don't know if there is any PvP. I'm sure there is.
There's not. They haven't released a battleground or anything like that.
Oh,
yet.
okay. So that's got to be coming, I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's a lot of things coming. I know guilds, like guilds, but they're kind of like clans or whatever. They're getting ready for the housing stuff they're going to be putting in the game. They're already saving up gold, or gil, I'm sorry. And so that's going to be coming in a later patch. I know there's a lot more to do with this game, and the thing is, there's so much to do right off the bat that just to think that there's going to be more coming is amazing. So if you are looking for a new MMO, like I said, there's nothing wrong with Guild Wars. Truthfully, there's nothing wrong with WoW. I mean, except for the $15 fee, but you're paying $15 for Final Fantasy as well, or I think it's like $13. And to be truthful, guys, I mean, people who complain about fees just don't realize until you play a game that doesn't have a fee. Games like Guild Wars, just other free MMOs that are free to play, there's that element that's missing from the game that could have been there if everybody would just pay a fee. I know people are like, $15 is too much. I think once a game drops down their fee to $10, that game might be the new dominant MMO, in my opinion. Just because, I mean, $10 a month to play the game you want to play. If you think about it, if you want to play Minecraft, I mean, you have to have your own server, and if you want to keep it up, it's going to cost money to keep that server up. So, I mean, you can just imagine these big companies are having to rent all these servers. $10 a month isn't that big of a deal, and you get so much more out of it. I mean, what was it? Sworder went free to play, and that game turned to the biggest piece of shit MMO there ever was. So I mean, I'm all for paid subscriptions. I have no problem with it. I know for people, we were about to get another opinion from a guy who, who's married and obviously funds. He doesn't have all the money in the world to throw at video games, but I love the pay-to-play model just because you're getting so much more out of the game. You don't have to worry about doing microtransactions for stupid things like if you want to do a
bank
BG.
Slots.
Yeah, bank slots or bags.
Yeah.
Like, who wants to pay real money for a bag slot? I mean, to me, it feels so much more money constraint when it comes to that kind of things. I don't know. That's just my opinion. A lot of people love free-to-play MMOs, but to me, those free-to-play MMOs never live up to these games like World of Warcraft, this Final Fantasy game, for instance. But here's another opinion. So, Ken, what is your whole take on the free-to-play model?
Well, I think I've said before that I'm fine with paying, a subscription fee, but your game has to be on par with, the best games out there as far as MMO or subscription games. So, like you mentioned, Sworder, couldn't stomach paying $15 a month for it. We tried it out, played it almost to max level. It was cool. You're playing Star Wars. I mean, if it wasn't Star Wars, I probably wouldn't have played it as long as I did, but, it's a Star Wars universe, and so it enticed me for a while. And it was a little bit different than some of the other MMOs I played, so I gave it a chance. Rift, same thing. Just wasn't worth the subscription fee. I mean, really, the only game I've ever really been happy with that I paid a subscription fee for has been WoW. But, I mean, I'm all for... I guess what I'm saying is that it just disappoints me when so many of these subscription games come out and they're not, as good, I guess, or closer to as good as, say, something like World of Warcraft. And I realize coming into the game from day one compared to a game that's been out for 10 years and has the most money and the biggest support development team around it, I mean, maybe that's not a fair comparison, but at some point, someday, like when EverQuest was out, I'm sure when World of Warcraft came along, there were a lot of people playing EverQuest that thought,
They'll never make it.
Never
I was
make
the
it.
same. Yeah, I was the same person because I
Right.
played EverQuest, long before. I was like, WoW's nothing, and then all of a sudden I go in the servers after taking like a 2-month break and no one's there.
Right.
So.
Well, and so you can't tell me that they can't make a game that would come out and just knock our socks off. It's very possible. It can be doable. So, I mean, if Final Fantasy XIV is that game or any other game is, I will gladly fork over $1,500 a month or whatever the fee is to play it because a great game I will fully support. It's just, I guess I've been burned a few times and so I'm skeptical a little bit. And while you're right about the free-to-play MMOs are mostly not the best, especially if you're used to, something like quality of WoW. But you do have games like League where it's based on microtransactions, where I've literally spent $5 on that game the entire time I've played it, and I've spent more time in that game than I did on any of the other MMOs I mentioned, like Rift or Sworder. And it's amazing, So, I mean, that model can work. It just hasn't, I don't think, been successful really on the MMO level. I mean, I've played some free ones like DC Universe that was cool. And if it was the only MMO on Earth, I would probably play it. But what happens, though, like you said, is that you either just skimp out on things, or it just kind of it does. I do think it's a disservice in the MMO genre, because everything in those games are about building up your character and building up your account or whatever it might be. When you make things where people can make their account better, or even just look cooler than yours, or more convenient than yours, via spending more money, it kind of dilutes the game. So I think it's not the best for the MMO genre.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that game that you were talking about, the game that's just going to blow you away. We got a few front runners. I mean, coming up. I mean, are you going to pay the money to pay for Elder Scrolls? Like, are you going to be one of those guys who pays the $15?
Basically, my motto with Final Fantasy XIV, Elder Scrolls, and even going back to like the Rifts and Sworders is, I'll give every game a chance. If it's if it's getting good reviews and people are trying it out, and I mean, it's not like you're signing up for a 5-year contract. Get it on there and give it a try. So I think everybody who likes MMOs, for me, I love Final Fantasy. I love that universe, or that game style, whatever Final Fantasy is. So, I mean, I'm definitely going to try that out. In fact, I'm probably going to pick it up next week. And then, for Elder Scrolls, obviously, Bethesda's done amazing stuff with the Elder Scrolls world. So, I'm definitely giving it a try.
Yeah, definitely. Lise, I mean, are you going to be one of the guys? Are you going to be paying for 2 games with Elder Scrolls? I know you're excited for Elder Scrolls. I actually am too. It's one of the few things we agree on. But
yeah,
are you going to be? You gonna be dropping $30 a month, or?
I don't see why not. I mean, this is my hobby / a big part of my life. So
right.
I mean, like I said, if it all comes down to, I mean, this is like the honeymoon period of an MMO. You're just getting into it. You're like, oh, it's so beautiful, but the real challenge comes with in game, because
right.
If the in game's terrible, then you're like, I'm good, because that will make or break an MMO in 2 seconds.
Right.
So. And if Final Fantasy, I want to believe it's going to live up to my expectations. Square Enix is amazing when it comes to, kind of releasing stuff on time and stuff like that. So,
I wouldn't say that. I would. How long we've been waiting for the Final Fantasy 15?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, they've never really okay. No. All right. So I kind of ate my words, but, but I mean, like I said, it's Elder Scrolls, man. I grew up with Morrowind and Oblivion and all that. So, I don't know. Like one part of me loves it, but one part of me is like, I kind of just want a new one, like just a one player. Cause that was the cool part about it. You're like, everybody screw off. I'm going to play by myself, and that was, it was your own world. If you wanted to run around naked, try to shoot a bow and arrow at a dragon, you could, now you have to deal with people all in the server. You have to deal with the whole community. To me, it's like, the thing, but we'll see.
Not to cut you off, but the thing I like about, say, Elder Scrolls, or even Fallout, I tell this to you guys all the time, Fallout's one of my favorite games, and it is thanks to Ken, but it's one of those games where whenever you make that game into an MMO, it takes that feeling of, self-accomplishment away, because now you've got to rely on other people. Now it just becomes one of these competitions of who's better. And that's what an MMO is. I mean, to be real, at the end of the day, when you said in-game makes or breaks a game, and there's a reason for it, because people love competition. And if I'm better than you at a game, it makes me enjoy that game that much more. I think that's why we've always competed in WoW. I mean, me and you probably more than Ken and some of the others, but when it comes down to it, we want to be the best we can at that game. And in MMOs, you have a stage that you can, put that on. Just like in League of Legends. If you can sit there and show people how good you really are. And a thing about like Elder Scrolls, you can play the game any way you want to play. If you want to kill a dragon with a stick, go right ahead. But you're not going to be able to do that in an MMO.
Yeah.
It's going to take away a lot of that freedom away, and it'll probably work. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've got nothing but faith in the game after seeing some of the videos of it, but it's not going to feel like Elder Scrolls to me.
Exactly. That's my complaint too. Like I said, it's like, you have to deal with all the douchebags, or you have to deal with like server lag, maintenance. You're like, hey, there's all these games going on. I want to take a break and join the Dark Brotherhood again, and I want to make a Khajiit. Like, it's your own little personal world, and it kind of sucks that they're going to make now, I wouldn't have a problem if they released 2 games. One's like, oh, here's this, and here's this, Then you could choose, if you want to go over, to the MMO side, or if you want to do the one player, killing chickens and getting raped by guards, So it's, I don't know, it's kind of bittersweet for me, but I will definitely at least get the trial and at least pay for a month to test it out. So.
Oh yeah, same here. I'm definitely going to be testing out. You're also going to be on PC. I think I'm going to try it for the PlayStation, just because I don't really want to upgrade my computer that much, especially with the new consoles coming out. But I don't know. It could be really good. It could be really bad. It could be right in the middle. But it's going to be interesting. I don't know if Ken's looking forward to it as much as we are, but I don't know. Are you?
Like I said, I'm always skeptical. I think when it comes to new MMOs now, but I mean, I'm always going to dip my toe in the water and see what happens, and I'm just waiting for that one to, get my attention. So, but I think the thing with MMOs, it's not just a subscription fee. It's the reason why they have to be so great is that, I mean, if you're like me, you barely have time to play one MMO and still, play, dabble in other games, let alone to play 2. So if you're asking for a subscription fee, you almost have to be the most interesting one on the market at that time. So, whether or not Elder Scrolls can take that cake or Final Fantasy 14, that remains to be seen, but it's open for debate for sure.
And the thing about it too, you said it takes a lot of your time, and a lot of us don't have that much free time. Not only that, it's kind of like buying a new house. To be completely honest, you want to fill that house up with everything you want. You want it to make it your own thing. And when it comes at the end of the day, it's like you don't want to buy multiple houses.
Yeah, I mean, really, like, use that analogy. Nothing sucks more than moving, and that's what switching to MMOs is. It's picking up and moving, except all your stuff is gone, and now you got to start over.
Yeah, I mean, fuck, me and Lee, Hurricane Katrina was probably the best, thing. Right. You lose everything, and you gotta start over, and you're just like, well, shit. Like, it's almost to the point where you're like, I don't really want to start over. Mm-hmm. But you have to kind of go with the flow, because as we've seen it, obviously, in the past couple months, MMOs are changing. They're going towards, there is no more hotbar anymore. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but you're not doing that. You're literally just, everybody wants this live action MMO that somebody's trying to perfect. Guild Wars tried it. I mean, it works, but it didn't grab my attention to the very end. Like the DC Universe, that game was pretty good. We played it for a good month or 2, and then we hit max level, and then it was just like, so what do we do now? And there wasn't any. There was rating, but it wasn't that great to say the least. But everybody's trying to go towards that live action MMO. And I think we might have the winner when it comes to the best one when Elder Scrolls drops. But that's still to be determined, obviously. Hopefully that's the one. And if that's the best MMO that's on the market, we'll probably be sticking with that for a while. Like, I don't think we're going to be choosing a new MMO until maybe the Division. But even then, I don't see the Division taking as much time as a lot of people are thinking. Like, I'm really curious to see how that's going to play out in-game wise. Because is it just going to be like hordes of other people for the in-game? I mean, there's a lot of questions to be asked about future MMOs. But either way, I'm looking forward to the Elder Scrolls. I think it might be one of the better MMOs next year. We got so many coming out. I mean, we're going to be trying so many different ones. But for the only one that we're going to be paying for, I would put my money there just because you have to pay for it. And the people who are making it obviously know what they're doing. I know Bethesda isn't making it, but it's whatever. I think they're taking over enough to make sure that it gets to be where it needs to be. So we're still going to be a solid game because you don't use the Elder Scrolls name without it being good.
If I can throw in a couple other things just to think about on that topic, like, I mean, you mentioned Division. I think Destiny's the other one that's kind of shaping up to be sort of like an MMO or a Borderlands 2 type situation, but ongoing. And the other thing is that kind of still in the back of my mind, I don't know if you categorize it in MMO, but I kind of do, and that is DayZ. We don't know what's happening with that. It's still kind of in limbo a little bit, but if that game would ever hit the market, whether it has a subscription fee or, whatever, I mean, that's the kind of game where I guess maybe MMO isn't the right term for it, but it's almost like an upside down MMO. And the cool thing about games like that, and I know they're making actually another survival horror MMO, and the name of it escapes me right now, but, and the situation like that, you maybe don't have to worry so much about the end game, which is, like you said, is a big challenge for all these MMOs because the name of the game is basically just surviving.
Right.
And
you got to worry about the next hour.
Yeah, the end game could be anything. It could be other players. It could be a horde of zombies. It could be just you can't find the supplies you need to survive. I mean, so it might be something that, coming at the MMO from a different direction completely than, because all these games, I mean, yeah, they have different combat styles or they have a different, world, or if it's Star Wars, maybe it's space instead of dragons or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's all kind of a clone of the EverQuest, the WoW, model, I guess you could say, of MMOs, and I think there's other ways you can go with it.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree. The problem that DayZ had wasn't the game. The game was amazing. It wasn't even its own game. I mean, for it to be in a mod of a game, it's just crazy. The problem it had was it wasn't taken into effect of getting the game out as fast as possible.
Right.
If that game would have came out its own game and all the bugs were fixed within the first year, that to me would have been the biggest game. Probably the biggest game changer, I should say, of games. It's one of those games where you haven't really felt the loss of a character until you play that game for 3 days straight. You have the same character. You've got tents all around the map. You have vehicles. You have your AS-50. You finally got your sniper rifle. And then some guys get on and they take out your whole stuff. They take out everything, and you've lost all that stuff permanently. It's one of the most adrenaline rush games I think I've ever played, and I wish he wouldn't have taken so long to make it. I mean, obviously, they're still in alpha or beta. I mean, it's at the point now where people have just put it on the back burner, and when these new consoles come out, when these new games are released, like, say, The Elder Scrolls, Destiny, Division, even Final Fantasy, people are just like, we're kind of over that phase. And it should have been a phase that we should have been in for the next 10 years. But because of what happened with all these knockoff games like the World Z or Survival Stories or whatever, they failed miserably at it. And because of that, I think this phase of gaming is going to be short-lived. So hopefully that comes out soon. Maybe it'll revitalize that whole scenario. But until then, I mean, that to me is still one of the best games I've played.
And I looked it up while we were talking. The name of the MMO that I couldn't think of is called Nether. It's coming out. It's basically I don't know if it involves zombies, but basically it's a apocalyptic survival game. That's an MMO. So
yeah, I actually saw that on Joystick the other day.
Yeah, so that's something to keep in mind. It's coming out for PC later this year, I guess. But yeah, I kind of like when you were talking about Division. I mean, I think I'm kind of hoping that that's kind of the route they go with Division, because it seems like you're in a broken down world. You're scavenging for whatever you can find. There's opportunities to go and fight other players. So I'm kind of hoping. I mean, if DayZ does ever come out, I'm going to give it a try just because of what it is. But I'm perfectly fine with some bigger studio coming along, adopting some of the play style and the ideas that he had that, like you said, he just really didn't do a good job of executing on, and then putting it out, because I do think it's kind of a new spin on, a few different kinds of games. So I'd like to see something like that.
I think it's something that everybody needs to experience that's a gamer. I mean, it's kind of like, you take your WoW character and he dies, and some other people can just loot his body and ravage his body. I mean, it's crazy.
Or vice versa, you can do it to someone.
Yeah,
yeah.
Well. Yeah. Yeah, the shenanigans we put in that game, those are stories that we might have to get some other guests on and just talk about, because it's the stuff we pulled. It's almost like just a heist game. I mean,
it's kind of like an MMO, but done from like a GTA style with zombies thrown in. I don't know, that's the only way I can describe it. Like you're just running around, kind of GTA style, doing whatever you want, and then you have to deal with zombies, and you have, it's kind of like an ongoing struggle. So
it's amazing. Like hopefully he gets it done, and hopefully he puts it on console, because that would be amazing. Or even I'm definitely gonna get the computer version. It doesn't matter. I'm gonna get either version that comes out. But the way it looks, we won't get it until 2016. But anyways, on to the next topic. So at the Tokyo Game Show, they announced that the PS3, or on the PS4, they're going to be releasing some PS3 games a lot earlier than expected. They talked about how the Gaikai is going to be implemented next year.
And for those of you who don't know, Gaikai in Japanese, it means whale's vagina.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't, but but Gaikai is the cloud for PlayStation 4. Basically what it is, it's just, this imaginary storage space that you can put your games in and whatnot. And the PlayStation 4 is not backwards compatible, but what they're going to do is make it to where not every PlayStation 3 right off the bat, but I'd say probably a good portion are going to be put on the PlayStation 4 via the cloud, which is very, very good, very interesting if they get it out quick enough. Like games like Last of Us, I'm sure would be one of the first ones they put on there. Most of their exclusives, I wouldn't see why they wouldn't put Uncharted on there the first week this is available.
God of War.
Yeah, probably God of War, probably some Ratchet and Clank, stuff like that. They would probably get on there early. But I mean, other than that, it's exciting, but it's nothing new. Like we knew this was going to happen. It's just the fact that it's coming out next year instead of like 2015, 2016. So it looks like the PlayStation is moving a lot faster in that direction than Xbox is. Right now, I mean, Sony just keep piling on over and over of the stuff they're doing that Xbox isn't doing. So I think it's headed in the right direction. The only bad thing about all this is like when it's just like a train. When it's going that fast, something bad might happen. So I think they're just waiting for Xbox is just waiting for them to hit a wall. And I think that's when they're going to come out and start announcing stuff that Sony is not going to be able to do. I think it was like last week or the week before, they were talking about how the PlayStation 4 is just so much better graphics-wise. And then, Microsoft dropped the ball last week and said that one of their launch titles is only going to be in 900p instead of 1080p. And it's just, Microsoft, they just keep dropping the ball over and over and over again. But I don't know. What do you think about this PS4 cloud situation?
I'm excited because I just got the PS3, and there's a lot of the PS3 exclusives I haven't had time to catch up on, and it's pretty apparent with GTA 5, Final Fantasy 14, and everything else that's going on. I'm not going to have time to catch up on all of that before PS4. So for guys like me that are making the switch from the Microsoft world back to Sony, it's kind of cool. I'm excited. Whether it's like old school Killzones and even games like GTA 5, obviously it's going to get ported to the next gen at some point. I'm assuming that's the way they're going to do it, is through that Gaikai. So
I think they'll put GTA 5 as a whole separate purchase, to be completely honest. I think it'll be its own game for the PlayStation.
Well, yeah, you could probably buy the disc too, yeah, I guess that's probably true. But,
I think that would be one of the reasons why I don't think you're going to get the PlayStation 3 version for your PS4. Like, I feel like there's literally going to be a PlayStation 4 version, probably a lot sooner than we think. I'm thinking first quarter of next year, to be completely honest.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense, because that game, it could probably do a lot better on a next-gen console, so they might have, like you said, its own unique version. But, and then also, Sony has a really great backlog of older games, back to, the PS2 and the PS1, and some of those original Final Fantasy games and things like that. So, and that's something I haven't had access to either, so I'm looking forward to it. I
think the thing I'm waiting for is the price, obviously. Like, I'm not going to spend $60 on Last of Us for the PlayStation 4. So there's got to be a good a good mixture of prices. You know, maybe like $20 for these PS3 games would be a good price for me, for most of them at least. But other than that, it's obviously good news. I mean, we're going to be getting this cloud a lot faster than we thought, which is awesome, and hopefully, we'll have the whole library before 2015 or so. So we'll just be able to pick and choose some of these older games that even I haven't been able to play. But I think it's time for the GTA discussion. Sorry, Lee, I know you're going to be kind of left out here, but I don't know.
That's all good.
We can start off with Lee. I mean, so you obviously you're not really into the whole GTA universe. Does it kind of aggravate you with everybody talking about how good this game is?
No, I mean, if they find a game that they like, they find a game they like. I don't know, like I said, I played the first one, played a little bit of the third one, and I can only kill a hooker so many times before it gets old. So, I mean, I never really played the missions, because I didn't even know that there was, because in the first one, you just did what you want. And
right.
Now there's like a story behind it. I'm like, you know what? I'd rather just get my money back from this hooker and kill her, and then take the Banshee and go crazy.
My God, you're disgusting.
I mean,
that's not what people do in that. No.
But then it ruined the integrity of the game. Then I don't even want to play it now. It's lost to me now. But yeah, I mean, it's not that I'm like, oh, I'm so hipster and so mainstream. It's just not my type of game.
Right.
I don't know. It is kind of the only kind of like games I like that is like God of War and stuff like that. So I guess mythological games. So
yeah, for sure. There's nothing wrong with that.
So did like Red Dead Redemption though, right?
Yeah, that was really cool because it was Western. It's something different. It's just really cool how they put it in the West, and it still had that GTA feel, but not really. I mean, you still had horses. You had sweet gunfights. And this one, I mean, it's just modern and kind of lame. So
for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so I guess we'll go ahead and jump right into it. How do you like it, Ken?
I like it. I like it a lot. I like it a lot. Obviously, I mean, GTA is like one of those franchises, unlike Lee. For me, it was, I guess, for whatever reason, GTA 3 was just like this watershed moment. Like, whenever I played it, I was just like, oh my God, this is everything I've ever wanted. So, I've always been into this series, and I don't know if it's just the crime aspect, but I think it's just I think what it is, and I put it in our little post on the site today, and one of the things I talked about is just like, I love the feeling, like, and even in GTA 3 they had it where you walk around a corner and you feel like stuff is happening independent of you being there. And it was the first game where I felt like it was like a legitimate world I had just come into. Like, you can almost imagine in your little gamer imagination that when you turn off the game and you go to school, that there's still stuff happening there. And that for me was like the biggest high, So, and with this new game, it's even more so because, there's 3 characters and you can switch in between them, and depending on when you pop in, they might be doing any one of a million different things, and you have no idea. So, like, always in the back of your mind, not only are you going around the corner and there's people walking and there's gunfights breaking out between gang members that it has nothing to do with you, just all this other stuff happening in cars and people just going this way and that way. But then you switch and you go check out on this other guy, Mike, let's say, and, he's sitting in his house and his wife's, bitching at him about what XYZ, and it's just like, you get this feeling like, it's just a real world. So that's what I like about it. It's just, I guess, immersive for me. And obviously, yeah, there's a lot of, immature crap you can do, and just, you can run around and kill hookers and go to strip clubs and all that, make it rain and all that good stuff. I'll let Shaq talk about that. But, for me, it's just rolling down the street, listening to, licensed, legit music, and hits that and, it in cars that look just like cars in the real world. And I don't know, it's awesome. And yet you're able to do all these things that you wouldn't be able to do in real life. So for me, it's like my favorite, I guess, simulation game.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing I wanted to touch on. It's literally the world we live in today. And you're like, well, you can't do all that crime and stuff today. Well, I mean, you could if you want to go to jail or die. But it's when you say sim game, it's basically you're just a new guy in the world, and like say the United States or in California, obviously, and everything that's being said, all these puns that are being made, we all laugh at them now. But I mean, it truthfully is the way we live our lives, and people just don't realize it. I mean, some of the radio stations they're talking about some of the stupidest stuff. But that's how it happens. That's how it is in the real world. They talk about pointless stuff. The funniest thing is like the iFruit phone or whatever. I mean, they always talk about, hey, we get a new one of these every year, you know, and they literally say that in the game. They talk about some of the most obvious stuff. There was actually a commercial on one of the radio stations, and it was about WikiLeaks, and I thought it was so funny. There was this guy on a radio station. I was just driving around. And he was like, yeah, I just released some new stuff to WikiLeaks, see what the government's really doing to you. And I just laughed. It was just so funny to me because they just took everything that's what happened to us today and they just put it into a funnier format and put it into the game. And it's pretty much, it's as real as it gets for us. I mean, it's pretty crazy. I mean, you were talking about yesterday how the roads, I mean, you've been to, was it, California?
Oh, Hollywood, yeah.
Yeah, Hollywood. And you were saying the roads are pretty much exactly the same.
Yeah. I mean, really, there's a few areas in Hollywood Hills and kind of like Beverly Hills. Well, you know, it's Los Santos, but it's the, you know, emulation of that. And like literally there's spots where I could walk you, if we were in LA, I could drive you over that spot. You could turn on the game and you would be like, oh my God, that's the spot. Like I know exactly what and it's not even just like big, you know, iconic buildings or like the Hollywood sign or something. It's like it's amazing the detail they've gone to. There's certain roads like the Sunset Boulevard where literally they've just like scanned it and put it into the game. So it's pretty amazing.
And I mean, it's one of these, it's a good goodbye gift to this current generation, in my opinion. A lot of, you know, obviously Microsoft and Sony are saying we're going to be keeping our PlayStation 3 up to date and our Xbox 360s for the next 3 years. To me, that's crazy. I don't see why you would even want to do that. I mean, Grand Theft Auto 5 looks amazing, but you can tell it is pushing even my new PS3 to its limits. Like, it's just, my console is constantly making noises, like it's like loading up everywhere. I can only imagine what my Xbox would be doing if I was playing it on that. Like, it would probably overheat like crazy. But the game looks truthfully amazing. I mean, I'm just glad it came out at this time where the graphics for these current generation consoles are being pushed to its maximum limit. The game is probably most likely going to come to PC. So hopefully maybe we can talk Lee into getting it for the PC because he really is missing out on a really good story. And the game is it plays wonderfully. It's, I actually finally got all three characters to do a mission together. And, it's actually the mission they kept showing in the trailer, with the helicopter, and then you switch to the sniper rifle guy, and then you switch to the guy who's climbing down the building. I finally got to do that mission. And it was seamless. It was honestly one of the best, like, missions I've ever done, in a Grand Theft Auto game. Like, to switch from from a guy who's across, you know, probably 20 blocks down, and he's got a sniper rifle ready to go, taking out a room that, one of the main characters, Mike, just captured somebody from. And he's, like, rappelling down this building. It was insanely awesome. They did a great job with that stuff. That's actually where I stopped playing today. So I'm about probably 15% way through, of the game. I've heard people who got the game early have already put in like 100 hours. And they just going around doing so much stuff. I played a game of tennis the other day, and even the mini games. Like, I want to play golf because I heard a lot of good things about that, but I've heard that the sports alone in the game could be its own game. And that's when you know it's just, Rockstar had the budget, and they obviously did everything they could to make this game as good as it is. And it shows. I mean, $800 million on the first day. It's insane. I mean, to put it in terms for anybody, I mean, if you look at movies, you're looking at opening weekends probably no more than, if it's a really good movie, like Avengers 2 might make $300 million opening weekend. Grand Theft Auto 5, one day, made $800 million. I mean, they've already gotten, it cost them $266 million to make, and to, you know, commercialize. It's already made triple the amount. I mean, almost quadruple the amount. It's crazy. So, if you haven't played it, I don't even know why we're even talking about it. You've already have it. Let's just be real. If you even wanted to play it, you probably already have it. I think we're at the point now where Rockstar could give one to everybody for Christmas and they would still make money. The thing I wanted to talk about though mostly was that number is so high, but this game is not for children. Like, it's honestly, like, if my parents saw me playing this when I was 13 years old, they would rage. Because, I mean, let's be real. When Grand Theft Auto 3 came out, I was probably 10 or 11, maybe 12, and I had it. And to be truthful, it's one of those games that nobody really knew about until, like, my parents started watching me play. And they were like, what is this? Why is he cussing and stuff? And, you know, I could explain to them. I was just like, this is what little Johnny told me to play while I was at school.
Why is that woman getting in the car with you?
Yeah,
exactly. The car shaking.
But the thing is that's how bad it got. That was the worst you got from, like, Grand Theft Auto Vice City.
A couple cuss words and, you know, and the mayhem of obviously being able to kill anyone you want. But.
Yeah. And that wasn't actually that wasn't even, like, the thing that my parents were like, that's whatever. I mean.
Yeah, there's a million games where you shoot people, so at the end of the day, that's not the big of a deal.
But in Grand Theft Auto 5, my first trip to the strip club was very interesting.
And if you are 13 years or younger, we need to advise you that this portion of the podcast is not for you.
Well, I mean, first of all, why do you have the game if you're 15 or younger? Like,
because you know you live in a trailer and your parents don't care.
I guess but they're just like, I go back to 800 million. Like, this many copies were sold, and it wasn't sold to all adults. There's no way, you know. And like I said, I went to the strip club the first time, and you know, you can sit there and these chicks are dancing. They're obviously wearing skimpy clothes, and I was like, all right, that's as bad as it gets, whatever. So I was making it rain. I made it rain for like 20 minutes. Not even gonna lie, I was truthfully, I thought there was an achievement, and I was like, you know, maybe if I make it rain enough, I'll get an achievement for it or a trophy. So I did it for like 20 minutes. And then I got bored of it. And I was like, all right, so I just threw money on this chick. And I was like, if that's as bad as it gets, it's whatever. Then I start looking around. And it's like, hey, do you want a private dance? And I'm not going to say no to a private dance, because why not?
You're a red-blooded American man.
Exactly. I was like, what's the worst that this could happen? 2 seconds later, I'm looking at a chick with hardly any clothes on. She has no top on at all. You can see her breasts and whatnot. And I'm just like, this is pretty interesting. And then they start giving you options to, like, kind of grope her while the bouncer isn't looking. And it's just like, so you just keep doing that. And I'm just thinking in my head, like what kids are playing this and their parents are watching them do this and their parents aren't saying a thing?
Was there like a little part of you that just like was afraid your mom was going to bust in and be like, what are you doing?
There actually was. I was like, I hope nobody just comes in the room right now, because I mean, the game is just, it's crazy. I never would have thought you'd be able to do that in a video game. And then, like, once you fill up this bar when you're groping the chick, you can take her home and, you know, y'all can do whatever y'all want to do. And it's just, it is crazy. I never thought they would put that in a video game. It's kind of good in a way that we've gotten to that point in video games where it isn't that big of a deal anymore. But then again, for a game that's selling this many copies, it kind of just makes me wonder, like, people are always talking about how kids shouldn't be playing these video games and whatnot. And it's at the point now where Grand Theft Auto isn't, you know, some random game like Grand Theft Auto 3 was. Grand Theft Auto is a household name when it comes to, you know, if your child plays any video game, you know what Grand Theft Auto is. And it gets to that point where it's like, why would you buy your kid this? It's crazy. So now I'm just waiting for, like, news flashes of kid plays Grand Theft Auto 5 and starts groping his teacher. You know, like, something like that's going to come up, and he's going to be like, well, I saw it in Grand Theft Auto 5, and the principal wasn't looking, so while he wasn't looking, I was touching my teacher, you know?
Oh, God.
But, I don't know. It's just one of those things, you know, I hate ever saying that video games causes anything, because at the end of the day, I've been playing games like Resident Evil, any game where you had to kill somebody multiple times, Grand Theft Auto, and never have I once gone out and shot anybody or anything like that. I don't drive my car recklessly. I don't do any of this. I just play video games and I enjoy them. But some media outlet's gonna blame Grand Theft Auto 5 for something, and the only people who are gonna suffer is the gamers and the people who make games. But I don't know. To me, it's an amazing game. I love playing it. I'll probably play it for the next month when the multiplayer comes out. I'm really looking forward to that as well. I think that's gonna be very interesting. I think that might actually add some points to the score that a lot of these websites are giving it. I mean, it's getting like 9.5s, so I think the multiplayer might boost it up to a 10. I don't think it's gotten a bad review. The game's amazing, so if you don't have it, try it. It's definitely worth it.
And if you're a little kid and you're listening to this, do not go to the strip club. And the strip club is not called the Vanilla Unicorn. It's not located near Simeon's car dealership. That's all I'm going to say. Just whatever you do, don't go there and just ignore what I just said.
The Vanilla Unicorn. I was thinking like a candy shop.
Oh, you were.
Or like
the neon signs of girls' boobs.
I pulled up and I literally just saw Vanilla Unicorn and I walked in. I was like, oh, all right. So that's what that is, But whatever. 20 minutes later, and I was about $600 less richer. Which in that game, money isn't like cake, because I've done like one heist and I just got my payroll from it, and it was like $1 million. Oh
wow!
So yeah, and the highest property I found for sale was like a movie theater, and it was $10 million. So I don't know if there's this property that's crazy expensive or what, but I haven't actually. I think I've brought in one piece of property.
Yeah.
There's just so much to do in that game. You'll be hearing about this for the next couple of weeks probably. But, anything else you want to add about GTA?
No, just go to the website, check out our posts about it. I've got some of my first impressions up there and some other tips of things to check out. Like Shaq said, I mean, it's really like an onion. The more you look at it, the more things you'll find to do. I mean, everything from your cell phone, which has websites on it, which are all funny and interesting, to, just the mini games and stuff that he's talking about, and even you can go and sit in your living room, turn on the TV, and watch TV, and just stuff like that. So it's a great one to just get into the game and check it out. So.
Yep. And if you also want any cheat codes for the game, we have them at the website, so go check them out.
We're proud to say that was our most popular post so far. So thanks to anybody who checked it out.
Yep. All right, one last thing on GTA. Lee, would you give it a chance if it comes out to PC?
Oh, you know it. Like I said, I don't hate on it because I hate on it. I just, like, after the third one, I was like, it's alright, but it's not really my type of game. But, I mean, I'm always down to try something new. So, I mean, especially if they milk that much money into it. It's not like, they wouldn't milk that much money into it if it's going to be shitty.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not like I'm hating on it just because, I'm a grumpy old man or anything like that. I'm just saying, like, Final Fantasy XIV is just taking up my time, and I'm more of an MMO player than I am a GTA player. So
yeah. And one last one on that, he is a salty old lady. That's what I like to call him.
I am. I'm post-op, so we got that changed.
All right, so enough about GTA. We love it. Y'all guys know that we love it, and y'all are probably tired of it. I don't know. What do we got left? We got some. Battlefield 4 was announced. The beta is coming in October. Are we going to have time to play this beta, or are we just going to wait for the game?
I'm not going to have time to play the beta.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I don't see... But Final Fantasy...
But I already have it pre-ordered, so, I mean, who needs the beta, right? Eventually
yeah, exactly. I mean, November 15th. I might as well just wait a month and a half until November 15th and just play the real game.
Yep.
Let's see. So, Diablo... Lee, I know you're a big fan of Diablo. I was a pretty big fan of Diablo. We played Diablo 3 for about a week straight and got to the highest difficulty, and it shit all over us.
It did. It really ruined everything I loved about Diablo 1 and 2.
Right. I'm with you. And so so we quit. I don't think we've played since. I haven't played. I played the console version. I've got a review on the website of the last version, the console version that just came out. It was pretty good. It wasn't that bad. I prefer the computer version over it, just for the fact of graphics and gameplay wise. But a new announcement came out last week, and they're getting rid of the auction house. And that's a pretty big deal considering that's kind of what ruined the game in the first place, because what they would do is in the game they would make rare loot just extremely hard to get.
Not even possible to get.
Right. I think we found one legendary between us, and it wasn't even for a class we could even use.
And it was like a level like 12. Like, what is
exactly,
this?
Exactly. It was like a sock. I mean, you know. So yeah, I mean, no. Basically, what it did is for the people who were lucky enough to find a legendary item, could throw this item up on the auction house for like $50, and Blizzard would take about 20% of that, and you would take the other 80%, and you know, everybody's happy, or at least that's what Blizzard thought was going to happen. Turns out it's probably the worst idea ever. People are getting to Inferno mode and not being able to even beat the first 15 seconds of the game. And so, you know, Blizzard's excuse was, hey, you should go back to the previous difficulties and try to farm gear. You know, and me and Lee were like, yeah, I mean, that's how the game's meant to be played, so we'll go do that. Like 30 hours later, not one piece of upgrade, and we're just like...
So dumb.
It's like, this is ridiculous. It gets to a point where the game just gets ridiculously hard.
Yeah, when they start having blue elites with like 5 like special effects on them, and especially Shaq, you know, he'd play a barb, and I think it was a witch doctor, and so I mean we'd have the range, and I had the AOE and the speed, you know, the range, and he would have the tankiness / the everything. But when they'd have like reflect damage, regen, super fast, and like chains, there's nothing we could do because any like stuff we dish out, we would die in literally 2 seconds.
Right. Oh, I mean there was times where they would have like mortar, and we wouldn't even get to that screen yet. We wouldn't even be able to see these things.
We'd be like 9 frames before it.
And then all of a sudden, like a mortar comes out of the air and one-shots us, and we're just like, okay. And it got to the point where, like, he said I played a barbarian, and that's what I played, and I would literally have to stack, like, life on hit, and that was it. So I was doing like 10 damage at the highest settings, but I was getting my health back, so I would like kind of tank it, but there was no tanking obviously because they could kill whatever they wanted to, and Lee would try to nuke it. It was a shit show, like it really was. But so they're taking out this auction house. They got a new expansion they're going to be announcing. BlizzCon is in November. Do you see yourself dabbling back in the Diablo world in the expansion?
I don't know. We'll see. Like I said, it kind of, I don't know.
Too
like
much
I'm
late.
yeah, I know, and it's hard to speak on it because I had so much expectations for this game. I was there. I was ready. You know, I even told myself, hey, it's the first day, servers will be up. Second day, hey, it's cool, it's the second day, servers will be up. And then I was like, alright, let's dig into this, and it just didn't live up to what I thought it would be. And it's really hard to go back to something when they really just crapped on my computer in the game I loved.
Right.
So, it's kind of hard. I mean, I'll definitely maybe check it out live feed on Twitch. You know, kind of see what's going on with that, but I don't know, it's hard. It's kind of like going to a sibling that abused you. You know, you know that it's like, no, we're cool over here, but you know something bad's gonna happen regardless. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I don't see me playing it. I bought the console version just so I could just test it out. Actually, my cousin doesn't have a computer to run the game at its fullest potential, so I was like, yeah, I'll get it, and we'll hit up some Diablo, and it was good. I mean, legendaries drop like crazy now. It's pretty ridiculous. We beat the whole game in probably 2 days, and you know, we're at the point now where maybe if they release the expansion for the console, maybe I'll get it for that just to play with him. But I have I'm not gonna go back to it on computer most likely. It's so far it ruined the experience. I mean, we had fun, don't get me wrong. We had probably a good 30, 40 hours of fun, but then it took that hours of fun and multiplied it by 1,000, and that's how much we hated the game at the end of it. You know, we would just, I don't know, we would go, like, seriously, like 5 hours straight just killing blues on the previous difficulty and not even getting a yellow, let alone a fucking orange.
So dumb.
Old Blizzard, they know how to make their players mad.
I'm surprised they didn't even charge for it. I'm surprised there wasn't a fee.
Yeah, no joke, no joke. Diablo has a monthly fee of $5.
There you go.
I would almost rather that than have that auction house at the beginning. This is true.
Me too. Hopefully it'll be a little bit better.
Yeah. So if you are getting it for the Diablo 3 for the computer, the new expansion, good luck to you. Shoot me an email and let me know how it is, because I probably will not be playing it. So I think our last topic for the night is going to be a little 5.4 of WoW. So yeah, I mean, 5.4 came out last week. The new island came out, the Timeless Isle. We've been playing. I've been playing probably every night. Tips has been hit or miss every night with GTA being out. So what do you think of it, Tips?
So far, I really like it. We had a lot of fun going down to the Timeless Isle, getting geared up. There's a lot of, basically it's just a loot fest. It's pretty fun, obviously, just to get caught up for Shaq and I hit it at the perfect time. And we've also been getting caught up, doing LFRs on some of the legendary quests that we missed out on. We're hoping to, finish those up. So, it's a little bit of a juggling act with all the good games that are out right now, but, I definitely think 5.4 is worth taking a look if you're a WoW fan. And even if you've been gone for a while, don't be intimidated. Especially if you got a level 90 and you quit early on and missed like we did, now's the perfect time to come back. I haven't had a chance to dip the toe in Siege of Orgrimmar just yet. Hopefully maybe do that sometime next week. But it's definitely worth going back and just getting back into it. I actually had a lot of fun last week playing it. So.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty much the same story with me. It's at first when we came back, we sucked. We were horrible because everybody's doing like 200k DPS and we're just sitting here doing like 50. And it was just one of those things like, we're never gonna get caught up. And then this patch hits, and you go to this island, and like every chest you open has like a piece of gear for you, so you're caught up on gear almost on day one, which makes it really easy for anybody who's coming back to the game. Which I think is what Blizzard's intentions were, obviously, because they lost so many people, and they're trying to get so many people back for this 5.4. And even I personally think that they're going to announce an expansion at BlizzCon, just like they always do whenever the last patch comes out for that current expansion. So I think they're hopefully getting all this hype back, probably around November, where we're going to start seeing a lot more people get back into the game. Because that's what Blizzard does. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, once they lose 2 million people, 2.5 million people come back when the new expansion's announced, and then they'll lose that 2 million people again, and it's just the same thing over and over again. So they're not hurting for money at any point. I mean, they're making so much money every quarter, so it's a good expansion though. It's not bad. I did a little bit of Siege of Orgrimmar. Me and Matt actually queued up for it last night, and we wiped on the boss like 4 times, so we quit. It looks fun. The new bosses look pretty cool. And yeah, I mean overall, it's a pretty good little expansion for us to start off with. So hopefully we get some good news in November.
And also, if you're like us and you're trying to get caught up in the legendary, I think they've apparently upped the drop rate on the sigils, because we were getting them dropping left and right. So it's a good time to go back, and if you've never got a legendary like me, now might be your chance.
Yep, yours truly got all 9 wisdoms in 1 week. So I am already currently on the next part of the legendary quest, which I gotta wait for Ken to get caught up to me, because I'm super lazy and don't know what to do, so I gotta have him lead me the way. So hopefully he, can put GTA down for more than 30 minutes and get the rest of his sigils.
Put your mom down for 30 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. Talk about my mother in public. I mean, that's...
Oh, I'm sorry. Does she listen to this podcast? I'm sorry, Mrs. Shaq.
I hope she doesn't, because I was talking about the GTA strip club, so that'd be kind of weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. Oh, anyway.
I think my mom would be more disappointed if I didn't go to a real strip club, so. She'd be like, "You're what? In a game? You nerd." That's what she would say to me.
Oh, man. So, I think Tiss's wife would say the same thing, right?
She'd say something.
Oh, man. All right, so...
I'd have time to play WoW, that's for sure. Let's put it that way.
a lot more time on your hands, a lot of free time. Because you'd be working at your movie theater, making minimum wage, and living the life. Anyways, so this is going to be towards the end of the podcast. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up with a quick question for all three of us. So we're going to kind of do this like once a week, have like a random question to kind of finish out and kind of have like an ending to the podcast. And these guys don't know what the question is, so I've been holding it on. And the question is, it's kind of nerdy, kind of geeky, but if you were Marty McFly and you had the old time machine, what era would you want to go back into? So I'll let you ponder that a little bit.
Oh, that's tough. Do I get to take anything with me? Like, I mean,
you can take one backpack. You can take whatever you want with you. Like, fill up your classic backpack.
Right. God, that's really hard. I mean, my initial instant reaction was like medieval times, kind of, but back then things were so crazy, and I'm not even sure with the way they talked back then I could even understand them. So that seems like that would be a dilemma.
Right. And actually, to add on to the scenario, it's going to be kind of like Back to the Future 3, where he's got to fix the DeLorean. So you kind of have like a week to fix it. So you're going to be there for at least a week.
Okay. Yeah, I think it doesn't seem like it was that long ago, I guess. But I think I'd like to go back to the Old West, to be honest. That'd be the coolest thing. I mean, I think just seeing like one of the things that I think would be really awesome to see is to see what America looked like before we raped and pillaged it and turned it into what it is today. Like, just to walk out and like there'd be nothing and just woods and fields, and I would just be, that would be pretty awesome to see, because it's pretty beautiful in certain regions where, you know, like let's say it's Yellowstone National Park or something. So I mean, just imagining the whole U.S. like that would be kind of cool.
Right. Well, that's a pretty good answer. I would probably agree with that a little bit, but I just wouldn't want to get shot. Like,
right.
Because, I mean, you would be all this new stuff. You would be, like, prime target number one. But, Lee, what about you?
I would probably go back to the old Renaissance, because, you know, I'm an art major, so I'd love to see all the old masters at work. I think, to me, that would be amazing. Or, if not that, probably BC times to, like, the Roman era, or,
right.
You know, stuff like that. But I would definitely love to see, like, you know, Leonardo sculpt or paint, you know, Michelangelo painting the Sistine Chapel, or, you know, making this Moses statue was my favorite sculpture of all time. So, I would definitely love to see that aspect.
That was my answer. Like, I would love to go back and just hang out with, like, Da Vinci for, like, a week. You know, just to see, because everybody hated him at the time because they thought he was crazy. And, you know, I think that would be the coolest thing, just to hang out and see what his mind, just to talk to him, you know. I probably wouldn't be able to because I wouldn't understand what the hell he was saying. But just to sit there and talk to him would probably be the coolest thing to do, just to hang out with Da Vinci, or even see some of that old stuff before it got destroyed, like you were talking about. Maybe I would probably more than that, though. I would probably want to go back to when the pyramids were built, just to see how that whole thing was done, because I'm pretty sure aliens were involved.
Yeah.
And
I was watching too much History Channel.
I haven't. Ancient Aliens, probably the best show on TV.
Oh my God, you are a nerd.
Whoa. Let's
Sorry.
not go that far.
Sorry.
That's kind of an insult. Yeah, we're pointing fingers, but probably back then, just to see how even if it was no aliens, I would love to see these just people hauling huge stones.
The slaves is working.
Yeah, I mean,
I feel like you're kind of anti-Semitic right now. Like, I think you just want to see the Jews, like, building all that stuff. What's up with that?
Well,
what's your second best one? Going back to the Holocaust? I mean, God, disgusting.
See, you say that, but I wouldn't mind doing that either. I mean, not.
Oh my
just
God!
To see that. World War II era would have been awesome. I would love to go back and watch some of those battles. I wouldn't go just to watch concentration camps. I mean, I'm not that crazy. I would go back and maybe watch like D-Day from like a blimp or something.
That'd be kind of cool. Or like Germany.
Go ahead.
I'd like to go when Germany bombed Britain. I think that'd be kind of neat to watch from afar.
I think Britain getting bombed period would be awesome.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I love Great Britain.
Civil War for me, Gettysburg. That would be an awesome battle to see in real life.
Yeah, that would be kind of cool.
But
I don't know. We're from the South, though. We don't really like any of those
oh yeah, that's true.
wars. Yeah.
All right, sorry about that.
The world would be so much better if the South would have won.
Poverty Lee, right?
Yeah.
That good enough. God, I want to play this game all night. Like, as you guys said, Da Vinci, I want to go back and meet Nikolai Tesla because that guy's a freaking genius.
No,
Tesla?
Yeah,
Tesla
dude.
isn't that great.
Yes,
I mean,
he was. He was freaking a genius. Everything we
Was it
have today.
Thomas Edison was better.
Thomas Edison was way better.
You guys are drunk.
No, I totally. Tesla would have been kind of cool to hang out with.
We talk about this just to see. I think I have so much more admiration. Like, I mean, there's obviously geniuses nowadays, and even going back, 60, 70 years, guys like Einstein. But to go back to those people that early on, like Da Vinci or I almost said Nostradamus. God. Socrates, people like that, Plato. I mean, those people that I don't know, the one I'm actually thinking of, I can't think of. Galileo, that's it. Just, how they had nothing to go on and they figured everything out. That's just amazing to me. So.
They had nothing but times in their hands and didn't have video games to distract them.
And
right?
like that little easel thing, that looks like basically like a sundial. And that's how they figured everything out. I don't understand, but.
Copernicus?
Yeah, maybe something like that.
Or something like that. Abacus or something?
Yeah, Abacus, that's it. Yeah, you just always see him holding them. Like, what does that tell you about how the suns and the stars align? It's just like a freaking stick with a thing on the end of it. Like, what?
People were more, I don't know. They wanted to get stuff done back then. Nowadays, we're just like,
whatever.
When's the next iPhone coming out? I want to get that. But, we didn't talk about the iOS, but let's go ahead and make it a short story. None of us care. Because iPhone.
So if you hung around this whole podcast to hear about us discuss iOS 7, big double middle fingers to you.
Well, I stuttered a lot during trying to say iPhone, so I think we're just going to cut that section out altogether.
No, I'm just going to play it on a loop. I'm gonna make like a mashup with it, and it's going to be like.
I think I said like
iPhone.
I said like iPad and then iPod, and then I finally got iPhone out of my freaking mouth.
I think you have been watching too much Breaking Bad, and you're turning into that retard
son?
white kid. Yeah.
Old Junior? Old Flynn?
Yes.
Old Flynn Nasty, I think that's what we call him on the streets.
Oh God.
I hate his son though, man. Breaking Bad. We're gonna start a new series, and we're gonna go back and talk about all TV shows. So look out for our first Breaking Bad. And the next week will be our last one, so it kind of sucks to start a series this late. But, yeah, we're going to talk about Breaking Bad next week, so stay tuned for that. We're going to get a lot more stuff on the YouTube channel, guys, so if you're watching this, hopefully we get some more shorter videos out, like 10 minutes, maybe 8 minutes, and we're going to hopefully get some more content out for you. But if you're even watching this, thanks for the support. If you help us out on the website, send us a like on Facebook, Twitter, and just leave comments in the comment section on the website. Give us some feedback. We're going to do, like I said, a shorter video to kind of help promote us a little bit. We're still new. We're getting stuff together. I think Lee just posted his first page today, or supposed to post. Yeah. And we're proud of him. It was baby steps.
It's slowly but surely getting there.
Yeah, exactly. And that's all we do. We're not trying to get huge here, but, maybe we get some stuff out of it. It'd be kind of cool. But thanks for the support. Anybody else got anything?
Just look forward to next week. I think we might have our boy Keith back. You might remember from podcast episode 1. And if you haven't heard him yet, he's if we're in sync, he's kind of the sexy one. So, stay tuned for that.
Oh, I don't know about that. I mean, but, Lee, you got anything?
No, I think that's it. I guess
pretty much good?
Yep.
Cool, guys. Well, thanks for listening, and catch you next week.